I'm just going to start. So,
Sure,
hey
please.
everyone. Oh, sorry. Hey everyone, I'm here with Irina Heaver, a top crypto and fintech lawyer. Today we're going to be speaking about why Dubai is such an attractive place for startups and companies looking to develop and invest in emerging technologies such as blockchain, cryptocurrencies, and fintech. But before we get on to that, Irina, why don't you tell me a bit about yourself?
Hi, Khaled. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. Thank you for having me. A little bit, so I'm going to be very biased in this interview. Dubai is my home. I've been living in Dubai for 12 years. It's my home. I love it. I encourage everyone to visit. And if you love it as much as I do, set up, move your family there, because this is what I did. 12 years ago, I came on a 12-month contract, and it's been 12 years, and I've got a home and a family. And I mean, I just love that place so much. So my background is I'm an energy attorney. I spent 10 years plus working for oil and gas and mining and maritime companies as an energy attorney, but I was focusing on the technology part of it. So we're talking about software, we're talking about drones, we're talking about cybersecurity for energy operations. So when I first learned about Bitcoin, it was something that I naturally got very curious about. Technology involved, huge mining power, computer mining power involved, just so we're not confusing mining for gold and mining for Bitcoin. And I was very curious, but Bitcoin was not the first attempt at electronic digital computer money, internet money. It was not the first attempt. There are several attempts before that, and they did not succeed. So when I started looking at that, I completely dismissed it, thinking, well, that's just another attempt, and it may or may not succeed. And in any case, it's only for nerds. Literally 10 years later, Bitcoin now the third largest currency in the world. And today, Elon Musk has updated his Tesla website, and they are selling Teslas for Bitcoin. And we were laughing, good try, Elon. You have to try harder. I would rather sell my Tesla now and get Bitcoin, because
Yeah,
everybody
exactly.
wants Bitcoin now. That's the hottest commodity now. And in terms of the outlook, that is a much better investment than a Tesla car. But then again, this is not financial advice, in no means. So, and 10 years, after spending 10 years in energy companies, I decided to devote my full time and my full attention to emerging technologies such as blockchain, cryptocurrencies, AI. Now, every week there's a new trend, there's a new development coming in blockchain space. Last year, DeFi was the hot subject. This year, NFTs are super hot. So it's definitely not boring, and definitely you learn something new every week, and keeping you have to stay on your toes at all time, because my clients, who are crypto and blockchain companies from all over the world, they're coming up with super innovative ideas, and us as lawyers, we have to keep up with them. They're the ones who are pushing us to sort of come up with innovative legal structuring. And of course, the regulators all over the world are at least 10 to 15 years behind. And that's normal. Technology is moving the progress forward. And us as lawyers, we're trying to keep up. And the regulators are trying their best to keep up. But it's quite a challenge, of course, for them.
You say keeping up. Do you think it's so difficult to keep up with crypto because of the decentralization aspect of it? There's no KYC for some of the dApps. A lot of them are decentralized, like Uniswap and all these DEXs. Is that like a challenge for regulators? Is it hard to like understand?
It's difficult to keep up because there's so much innovation going on. Now the question is, why there's so much innovation going on? Because that's where the money is. If you look at oil and gas companies, they traditionally, innovation would come from oil and gas industry, because oil and gas industry would hire most PhD candidates than any other industry, and they had huge R&D budgets. So most innovation, like for example drones that you are flying now with your children in the parks, oil and gas industry came up with that when we were connecting pipelines under 300 meters of water, so we don't send people there because it's physically not very much possible. Now there is the innovation is coming from the tech space, the Googles and the Teslas and the SpaceX. This is where the innovation is coming from. But if you look at the technology space, like cryptocurrency space, there's quite an interesting a bucket of gold there, because if you make it right, everybody can benefit, especially the project developers or the project those who come up with that technology. So that's why there's so much innovation, because there's a reward, and this is a perfect this is how the economy should work. If something gives you reward at the end of the day, that's where the resources should be focused on. Now, talking about the regulators, why is it so difficult for them to keep up? I'll tell you why. Because we are still sending faxes to each other. My clients are talking about, AI bots that are talking to each other through blockchain and sending, and interacting with each other through smart contracts. And the regulators are still sending faxes to each other. So how is, I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of them are. So there's such a huge disconnect in terms of the realities where people are living. I had to register myself. So I'm in Switzerland right now. I had to register myself at the local authorities. I had to literally go in there with all my pieces of paper. They made copies of it, put it in a physical file, and I said, okay, now you're registered. And for me, it was mind-blowing, because I'm sitting here. I have project teams all over the world, and we're interacting through software. And you talked about dApps. So that's a beautiful situation where you have thousands of people, potentially millions of people from all over the world interacting through with each other through smart contracts. And the regulator here has a physical file with a copy of my passport in it. So it's a little bit of disconnect there.
And how do we get these people on board? How do we make it easy for them? Like, what are the steps? Like, what advice or what steps and guidelines would you give them? Like 1, 2, 3, this is what you need to do to upgrade from these ancient technologies.
Well, you know what? It's not your job to change the world. It's not my job to change the world. Let's bring our nearest circle up to scratch, up to standards, and then eventually the world moves with you, right? So catch up, right? So. And but if you're studying a company, that's a very good question. How do I deal with the regulators, and how do I make sure that they even understand what I'm doing? Because that's a real challenge. So some regulators are more advanced. For example, of course, the regulators of Dubai. Much more advanced when it comes to UAE, much more advanced when regulating emerging technology companies. Regulators of Singapore, regulators of Switzerland, financial regulators. I'm not talking about a small authority that is keeping a copy of my passport, but financial regulators are very advanced. For example, Canton of Zug is now accepting Bitcoin as payment for their taxes. Good job, Zug. That's good try. You have to try a little bit harder getting to people's Bitcoin, but that's what's happening. So the regulators are not a homogeneous group, right? Some are a bit here, some are a bit there, but everybody's very curious about emerging technology. Everybody wants to implement it. I get reached out every day on LinkedIn. Companies are saying we want to start accepting crypto for payment for our goods and services. Then of course I'm like, okay, fantastic, great idea, let's do it. So the more people like yourself, like your company, the more you're talking about this, the trend of emerging technologies, the more other people will come in and join the party. So how do we bring people on board? Exactly do what you're doing. Talk about it, promote it, engage with amazing people who are doing amazing jobs. Some of my clients are just doing a really amazing job. So engage with those people, let them talk about what they're doing, and the others will come to the party, because it's really a great place to be at the moment.
Yeah, for sure. I was just wondering, like you mentioned Dubai is such a great place for the regulations are quite advanced. So why is that? And why is it different from Europe or the rest of the world?
Europe is not homogeneous either, right? What is it? 25 countries, and everybody speaks their own language, and everybody is at a different level of development. So why I like Dubai, why I find Dubai regulators and Dubai leadership. Um, so the leadership of Dubai is doing their best to promote entrepreneurship spirit. If you look at the origins of that part of the world, traders, entrepreneurs, always happy to do business with other states, with other countries, with other people. It's great. I mean, it's in the blood in the Middle East. Let's do a deal. What can we do together? Let's make a deal. And the leadership of Dubai has been doing an amazing job nurturing, developing, and promoting that spirit, and making things easier and easier. I mean, you and I can see that change throughout the years. 12 years ago, you have to physically go to the DD office to set up a company. Now, free zones come to you to set up a company. Of course, competition is a great thing as well, because they compete for each other. They compete with each other. They compete for your business, which is great for everyone. Competition is good for the markets and is good for all the market participants. So what I like about Dubai is this entrepreneurial spirit, as I mentioned several times, and the devotion of the leadership to make things happen. For example, just a couple of days ago, DMCC announced a deal with ASCA that crypto and fintech and blockchain companies can now operate out of DMCC, and making it easier, rather than establishing onshore, establishing a free zone. And here's an office for you, and here's the facilities for you, and here's an office where you get all the visas for yourself and for your family. So things are becoming easier and easier every year. And another thing, I mean, we've all seen with the pandemic what has happened. Huge countries, huge economies crumbled, but small states like Dubai, like UAE, like Israel, like Bahrain, like small states, they are more innovative, they're more agile, they can move faster, they can make sure that things happen faster, and those states will own the world at the end of the day. Because nowadays it's not being this huge tanker that can barely move. Now you have to be that agile little speedboat to navigate the waves that are coming our way all the time.
For sure, for sure. And if I was a startup, I'm coming to Dubai. Sort of everyone's moving to Dubai, seeing it as a great opportunity to do business, start up a company. But are there a lot of common pitfalls that some companies fall into? And what advice would you give a startup starting up in Dubai?
For sure, for sure. There are a lot of pitfalls, and I have fallen into so many of them myself, and I have seen other people doing that. First of all, um, let's start from generic ones. Time
Okay.
is a very flexible concept in the Middle East. If you're coming from Germany, if you're coming from Northern Europe, if you're coming from Switzerland, you expect things to be done within a time frame, and you've budgeted for it, you've scheduled for it. Here you go, here's my schedule, that's my amazing schedule. And then you find out that other people don't have much interest keeping up with your schedule, they have their own schedule. So being patient is number one. Being patient, being respectful, being understanding that time is a fluid concept. And once you accept that and understand that, your life will be so much easier in the Middle East. And then, of course, the second thing is very important. Dubai is a transient place. So many people come and go. So many entrepreneurs come and go. So many companies are setting up, oh, we are promising the world and delivering nothing. So governments and investors, as well as consumers, are very skeptical. So, and rightfully so, because there has been a history of people coming in and not keeping up with their promises and leaving. So invest time and effort becoming part of the community, contribute. For example, there are a lot of various fintech accelerators. So if you're a fintech company that is looking to develop, set up in Dubai, contribute, give, and then eventually you will start receiving back. But don't come in expecting you go, look at me, here I am, just give me everything, I'm entitled to that. Absolutely not. That sense of entitlement will not work very well. On contrary, that will work against you. For example, one of companies that I really like, Swissborg, a Swiss company, a fintech company, very innovative company. They became a unicorn last week. I'm super happy for them. They work so hard. At the AIBC summit, where you guys are participating as well, which is fantastic. Everybody should come and attend and check you out and say hello to you. So this company, for example, will run growth workshop for all of the fintechs in the region. So they will connect with every fintech accelerator, startup accelerator, and absolutely out of their goodwill, they will run a growth hacking workshop, because they have growth hacked themselves to become a unicorn. They've learned a few things along the way. So they're passing that knowledge to people who are just starting up. They have no plans to set up in the Middle East, as far as I know, but already now they're giving back to the community, which eventually they would want to become part of, because we have an amazing opportunity in the Middle East for fintechs and AI companies and blockchain companies. We have 570 million people in the Middle East. Did you know that? So 570 million people is an amazing tribe to be part of. And how do you become part of that tribe? You give, and eventually the tribe will say, okay, fantastic, now you're in, now you're part of us. So that's how I would suggest companies starting is by giving to the community, become the community, give to the community, and then eventually community will embrace you and give you back. Takes time though.
For sure. But do you think there's a bit of a learning curve where I want to give, but I don't know how, and I have this like product and innovation, and I'm starting with it, I'm rolling with it, but it's not very successful? Are there sort of like projects and innovations that work better in this space than others, or in your experience, have you seen, or like in regions in different countries, are there better projects and developments?
Yes, of course. You cannot expect to come to a new region like Middle East. We are quite specific region. We have rich culture and own languages, etc., etc. So you cannot expect to come with your own product that you developed for US market and say, here you go, enjoy it, take it, and be grateful, and don't ask any questions. Of course, that will not work. So, for example, why Karim became so popular, although they just copied an Uber version, but they implemented it so wonderfully and they localized it. For example, when Uber was not taking cash payments, Karim realized that 85% of all e-commerce in the region is happening through cash. People don't trust giving their credit card details to somebody they don't know. But after years and years, okay, Karim, now I know you can have my credit card details. Thank you very much. So localizing your offering is, of course, is very, very important for the language, for the culture, for the custom of the place where you're at. It's quite, and so that's a consumer-facing product.
Okay.
Now, if we're talking about a B2B product, we need to understand that governments and government entities work quite differently in the Middle East as well. There's a time involved, so the sales cycles are very different from the sales cycles in other countries, and there's also a reputational side. People need to know you, people need to like you, people need to trust you, and then they will start buying from you. This truth is the same for everywhere in the world. But the knowing and the trusting part in the Middle East, that personal relationship, for me seems to be there's more value to that. If I've known a person for a few years, I trust them. As far as I know, they haven't ripped anybody off. Fine, I'll work with them. So that few years is quite an investment that people don't expect that they should invest in this relationship building. There's Americans coming in, okay, we set up, come and buy from me. Maybe not. Maybe that product is worse and not as innovative as yours, but I've known the guy for 20 years. So of course I'll continue buying from this guy. So people need to invest time, effort in relationship building, of course, for sure.
I wanted to ask you, obviously, this is a topic we can't avoid. Bitcoin is in its bull run. And I was wondering, because of that, are you getting more inquiries from like clients, or has that been happening like a year ago as well, when there was
Well,
less noise?
being a lawyer, we get job either way. The market is up, we get new clients. The market is down, we get even more clients. So we don't care about the market cycles. Of course, when the markets are down, we get very negative sort of cases, like let's do that company, let's do that company. When the market is up, we get very positive cases, like, oh, I'm starting a new project. Can you help us out? Can you structure that for us, etc., etc. So cases are different, workload is the same. So, but of course, everybody has more fun and
Sure.
everybody is more positive when the markets are up. And it's much more pleasurable to work in those environments. And I myself have been, a big Bitcoin proponent for many, many years. So of course, I'm having a good time. Everybody's having a good time. So it's a much more pleasurable environment to work, of course. And I was actually in Dubai when Elon announced that Tesla is putting 1.5 billion into of its treasury into Bitcoin. So that was an amazing day, and the whole week, the whole crypto community of Dubai had a great time. So bull markets are good, but also don't forget that we lived through serious bear markets. In 3 years of 2017, 18, 19 bear markets, no, 18, 19, yeah, 20 bear markets. It was just not fun for many people, not fun for many companies. Many companies did not make it, which is quite unfortunate. But there was a lot of M&A activity, there were a lot of consolidation activity, and markets need that. We're a new industry. We less than 10 years old. So things go up, fantastic. Things go down, even better, because they shake out not so honest people who are in the industry, and that is good. So we needed that shakeout. That was good.
Yeah, for sure. I actually looked at it the other day. The entire market cap for Apple, which is around $3 trillion or whatever, is bigger than the entire crypto industry market cap, which just shows how early we are to the party. And you mentioned community as well. It's very true. Like the crypto community in Dubai is so close. Everyone's on WhatsApp groups, Signal groups, Telegram groups. Everyone's very connected with one another. Do you see similar things across like other industries, or is crypto and blockchain sort of something special?
I feel that it's a little bit special because when some of us started, we literally knew two other people who know what Bitcoin is. So of course we became, sort of friends, and then set up a WhatsApp group. And then, a year later, we're now 4 people in that WhatsApp group. Wow, that's so exciting. So, and now 10 years later, some WhatsApp groups have literally 200 people who are friends. I consider each and single one of them friends because we've been hanging out together all this time. So yes, the crypto and blockchain community is very special in that regard. We do have very strong bonds with each other, personal bonds, and there could be good bonds and bad bonds, right? Some people might not like each other very much so, and some people might like each other very much so. So, uh, and of course, this is not like oil and gas industry. There's, you know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people in the oil and gas industry. I cannot expect to know all of them, nor do I expect them to know me. Whereas in crypto and blockchain community, if we don't know each other by our first names, and if we haven't met at least once, we for sure connected on LinkedIn, Twitter, WhatsApp groups. Yesterday I had a call with a new client. There were 5 people on the call, and 2 people said, "Oh yeah, I was with you on that panel 3 years ago." I don't remember, but you know, that's how it is. We're a very, very small community. And talking about early, what I really liked, you said, you know, we are early to the party. Less than 1.3% of the world's population own any crypto. Less than 1.3%. So when people ask me, oh, is it too late to invest into Bitcoin? Is it too late to get in? No, it's so early. You are so early to the party. The party has not even started yet.
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
why you see some things that are absolutely unusable. For example, uh, for example, Lightning Network, big fan, but it's not very usable at all. Why? Because, you know, if there's so few people use it, of course, there's no incentive to make it more usable for a consumer, but things will improve. So don't get deterred by how undeveloped the space is. Just understand you're super, super early to the party, and you are yet to experience the full extent of it. Another thing that I wanted to mention is 1.3% of the world's population are in crypto.
Yeah.
But out of this percentage, less than 9% are women.
Oh, wow.
That
And do
is,
you see that changing now? Do you see more women picking up crypto and
more women
blockchain?
are picking up for sure, but we are still less than 9%. And no industry can sustain itself without full participation of the half of the world. Women are half of the world.
Okay.
We have the wealth. We control the family finances. Most women do. Most women have very good, well-earning jobs, but less than 9% of women are in crypto. So this, personally, for me, I would, you know, if I can move this number by a couple of percentage points in my life, I feel like I would feel I have succeeded, because you need an industry that is balanced, a representative of what is happening in the world. We need people of color, we need people of different nationalities, different languages, different genders, different religions, because this is how the industry will become more balanced, and new products will emerge. Like, for example, in the Middle East, there are we now seeing some Sharia compliant crypto projects being launched. Of course, there is a need. There's more than $1 billion Muslim people all over the world. So the industry needs to be inclusive of them. And here are Sharia compliant products. And I can go on and on and on about inclusion, because inclusion at the end of the day is good for everyone.
For sure. And what do you think we can do to help that progress and change further to make it more inclusive, a more inclusive industry for everyone, especially women and others?
Do what you do. You're running an amazing event. You have amazing women speakers on stage. You have amazing companies that you're featuring that are founded by women. I mean, what you're doing is perfect. We need more highlighting that this exists, that these opportunities exist. And the more you highlight that, the more younger women, younger men, younger people of different affiliations will join as well, because representation, the representation matters, and they see a woman on stage, and the young girl goes, well, if she can do it, I can do it. Fantastic.
Sure.
And we need you to join and do it better than somebody before you, of course. But what you're doing is amazing. At your events, you're featuring a lot of really great companies. You have amazing speakers from all over the world. I mean, There's nothing more you should do. Just do what you're doing, and you're doing it amazing. Continue.
Thank you so much, and we definitely hope to see you there and share your insights, just like you're doing now. Just a final question from me. What's your outlook on the blockchain and crypto industry for 2021 and beyond? What do you think is going to happen?
I hope you're not asking about the price, because
I mean the
nobody.
crypto industry in general. Like, where do you see us going from here?
Yeah, so people ask about prices a lot, but nobody can predict the price of
Predict
Bitcoin.
that, of course.
Bitcoin does what
What it does,
Bitcoin does. Nobody, if anybody is calling out any numbers, it's just completely ridiculous. So my prediction, but if I have to predict something, I'll predict Bitcoin $250,000 by the end of August, because that's when my birthday is, and I deserve that. That's that's how silly the predictions are. They just completely don't listen to anybody when they're trying to predict
Not
anything.
financial advice, of course.
No, like you can't predict any. If anybody's trying to predict a price, that's just ridiculous. But in terms of industry, it has a lot of potential. For example, okay, Bitcoin is one thing, and there's already an industry around Bitcoin. For example, Coinbase is now being valued at something which is a crypto exchange, for those who don't know. And they started as a Bitcoin wallet in 2013. So 10 years later, less than 10 years later, they are now valued $13 billion. $13 billion? Yes, so they're doing an IPO. So that's just how crazy the Bitcoin industry it is by itself. Now we look at a larger now we look at the larger crypto industry. DeFi projects, decentralized finance, they're promising to replace bank lending by conducting peer-to-peer lending. They're promising to make investment into profitable companies much easier, etc., etc. So basically, think of anything you need as an individual. You need insurance for your car, you need insurance for your house, you need to take a loan to buy a new car, you need to take a loan to buy a house. So if you can think about all these activities that are happening, DeFi, decentralized finance, is promising to be there for you. And if you look at the Middle East, we have 570 million people. Do you know what percentage of Middle Easterners are banked?
No, I have no idea.
Less than 14%.
Really? That's insane.
Less than 14% of the Middle East is banked. So imagine what a great opportunity for blockchain companies, for innovative fintech companies to come in. You basically have a product that any person can download on their phone, and boom, in less than 30 seconds, you're banked. And you can loan for your new business, you can lend for somebody else's new business at 10% interest per year, for example. A bank is giving you 0.1% interest now if you're keeping your money there. So there's a lot of very interesting projects. There's one project I really like, Shisha Finance, shisha.finance. So it's a local DeFi Middle Eastern
really cool.
project. It is very cool. I'm an advisor to that project, so full disclosure, have a look, Shisha Finance. And they're just about to start to launch on Binance Smart Chain. So Binance is one of the largest crypto exchanges. They have their own blockchain called Binance Smart Chain. They have lower gas fees than Ethereum. And it's a very interesting chain to launch your projects on. So this is quite a nice roadmap for Shisha Finance, including investment opportunities into really profitable projects. And it's a DeFi project, decentralized finance. And in terms of blockchain, I would separate it into a third category. When the whole blockchain craze started in 2018, a lot of companies started implementing various blockchain pilots. And then it kind of all died in the water because people realized that, yes, it might be very trendy, but blockchain is a database. So that's it. That's all it is. It's a database. So for some things you should, as a database, for some things you should use a little piece of paper where you scribble information, right? Like I'm doing now. For some things you should use Excel spreadsheet. For some things you can use, for example, some corporate accounting system. But for those simple things, a company started pouring millions of dollars and try to stick blockchain in the back of it. Oh, now we're using blockchain. Look at us, we're so awesome. So many things just did not make sense. And this whole blockchain industry kind of slowed down, which is a good thing because there are so many consultants there selling blockchain solution to companies that don't need it at all. But good on them. It's an open market, right? If you can sell it, good on you. So I expect that the trend will continue, that people will realize that, or companies will realize that they perhaps don't really need that much of blockchain as they budgeted for, which is a good thing. Let's not waste capital. But what I do see is emergence of machine learning being introduced in everyday operations. We're looking at, instead of having a junior lawyer reviewing the contracts, we have a machine learning algorithm doing that. Instead of a junior accountant doing data entry and analyzing data, we have machine learning algorithms doing that, which is great. It creates a lot of efficiencies. The companies will become more profitable, but junior lawyers will not be able to find a job. Junior accountants will not be able to find a job, etc., etc., etc. So that's where I see a bit of issue arising. So if you're a younger person who is just entering the market, labor market, you probably should really invest time into learning and understanding emerging technology to make sure that you always upskill yourself and to make sure that you don't stay out of job.
Very much agree, especially from a user perspective. Especially from a user perspective, I feel like a lot of people don't understand how powerful the technology is until you use it. Like when I first started like experimenting with a few of the dApps, like I don't know, Uniswap, Compound, it's sort of like a light bulb went on in my head. I was like, whoa, this is possible, and I don't need to go through a bank or any like third party. I can do it on the internet myself, which is quite like groundbreaking.
And this is perfect. This is exactly how people should learn about crypto, about Bitcoin. The easiest way to learn about Bitcoin: download a wallet, get some Bitcoin, start sending it, receiving it, start try to buy something with Bitcoin. That's when you'll understand. That's when the light bulb will come off, exactly like you said, and it will make it much. Then you'll understand. Oh, okay, because theory, I can learn in theory sitting in my kitchen how to swim, but when I really swim is when you throw me into the lake, right? So that's how I advise people to start with Bitcoin. Put in $100, play with it, learn it, understand how the apps work. And once you realize how easy it is, you would not want to go for a traditional bank. You wouldn't want to know that a bank exists.
For sure. And you said something about like people losing jobs because of like machine learning and other emerging technologies that just make it easier to do previous jobs. But I also do think that equally the rise of the crypto industry will just in effect create more jobs that are just related to crypto and like different things. Do you agree, or 50-50?
I don't know. Look at Binance, for example. They have 300 people. Look at Deutsche Bank. They have 30,000 people. So once Binance swallows Deutsche Bank, how many people will they keep? Zero, of course. And Binance is 10 times. Binance is as profitable as Deutsche Bank, and Deutsche Bank is what, 100-year-old company, maybe even more. So Twitter, how many people do they have, and how many people national newspaper has, for example, all of the national newspapers. So tech companies definitely have fewer and fewer people, but there will be new technology companies starting, so some of those people will be assimilated. But I do think it's a bit of a trend that, for example, do you know what's the largest industry employing people in the US by number. It's a trucking industry. So like
Industry.
a truck coming from one state to another, trucking things. So what's going to happen when Tesla starts mass producing their autonomous trucks, trucking goods left, right, and center without employing all those truckers? What will happen? What will those truckers do? I doubt they'll immediately become software developers. So younger people need to start thinking about this, especially those who are, for example, just starting to become a lawyer. By the time you finish your studies, everything that you have studied is already obsolete.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's not something you and I can solve unless during this
For sure.
conversation, but that is something that younger people need to start thinking about, or their parents need to start guiding them. What I like is in Sharjah, there is a Sharjah Technology Park. If you have a chance to visit that place, please do. It's amazing. Sharjah Technology and Innovation Park. They're right in the middle of the university sort of area. There are universities all over it, and they are doing a lot of work in promoting emerging technology and machine learning and blockchain development, and you name it. They're doing that with their younger students, and they're saying their biggest capital there is the bright minds. And I know this firsthand because a couple of years ago there was a Fintech marathon, Fintech hackathon, and a group of those 17-year-old, 18-year-old Sharjah students took a bus, came to Dubai. They slept on the floor, but by the end of that hackathon, they have developed a smart contract for insurance companies to check. It had to do something with car sales, to check something that insurance companies needed to know before they insure a car. And a year later, that technology that they have designed during that hackathon is being used by the largest insurance companies in the UAE. And then there's a group of 18-year-old kids. And when I asked them, how did you, like, who's going to be coding it? Who's going to be writing a smart contract? They're like, we will. I was like, but how do you know how to do that? Oh, we watched a YouTube video. Here you go. You've got 18-year-old kids. They watched a YouTube video. They taught themselves Solidity, which is a coding language for Ethereum blockchain. They learned how to code that smart contract. They reached out to mentors who we helped them, what to think about. They developed a solution. Now they're selling it to insurance companies. I mean, that's a beautiful story. And that's what I love about young kids. If there is a will, there is a way. So, and those kids found the way, and they come from Sharjah Innovation Technology Park. Please Google it.
That's an incredible story. That's really interesting that they managed to do all that just off the back of watching one YouTube video. And hopefully,
it wasn't a one YouTube video. They deliberately watched every YouTube video on how to code Solidity.
oh, fair enough. That's insane. Well, hopefully we can inspire people as much through our conversation today. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been great speaking to you. You're so very knowledgeable. I've learned so much, and I'm sure our audience as well will learn equally as much. It's been great speaking to you. I can't wait to actually meet up in person one of these days and at our event in October. Thank you so much, Irina, and thank you.
Thank you, Khaled. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. All right, guys. See you. Bye. All right, that was fun. We'll just cut it there. We'll edit it or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. That was